Ladies and gentlemen, I found this picture to be interesting. This was on the Catholic News website, and this was for Easter. And I looked at this picture and I was like, wow, isn't this interesting? There was a variety of different stories out there. Of course, the Ukraine Jews that had to flee and how they're doing Passover, and, stories like that are out there. Well, the Pope did not hide the fact that he's still very upset with Russia and criticized Russia, and their cruel and senseless conflict, and urged leaders to strive for peace as he marked what he called the Easter of war on Sunday. Wow. The 85-year-old Pope made the comments, and he said this in his address. Traditionally, an overview of world conflicts, to about 100,000 people showed up for service this year. If y'all remember, during the lockdown, they didn't even get they didn't even get 100 people, and I was watching that, and I'm like, wow. So I guess they got their crowd back up at the Vatican, and this is how many people that were in St. Peter's Square. It was the first Easter since 2019 that the public was allowed into the square to hear the twice yearly address following 2 years of restrictions. Francis dedicated most of the message to Ukraine, comparing the shock of another war in Europe to the shock of the apostles when the gospel says they saw the risen Jesus. Our eyes, too, on this Easter of war. We have seen all too much blood, all too much violence. Our hearts, too, have been filled with fear and anguish, as so many of our brothers and sisters have had to lock themselves away in order to be safe from bombing, he said. May there be peace for war torn Ukraine, so sorely tired by the violence and destruction of the cruel and senseless war into which it was dragged, he said. Moscow described the action it launched on February, and they keep saying 24th, 22nd, as a special military operation. Francis, who did not mention Russia by name, has already rejected the terminology, calling it a war, and previously using terms such as unjustified, aggression, and invasion, as if the Catholic Church themselves have not done those things. Let there be a decision for peace. May there be an end of the flexing of muscles while people are suffering, Francis said on Sunday, going on to thank those who had taken refugees from Ukraine, most of whom have gone to Poland, and made no mention of the Africans that got rejected at the border. And aren't they being held against their will now? Earlier this month, Malta, Francis implicitly criticized Russia President Vladimir Putin over the invasion, saying that the conflict, it was a conflict of nationalist interests. That's what he said. Mm-mm-mm. Well, he didn't, like they said, he kind of avoided saying the word Russia, you know? So, from the east of Europe, from the land of sunrise, the dark shadows of war have now spread. We had thought that invasion of other countries, savage street fights, and atomic threats were grim memories of a distant past, the Pope said. Moscow denies targeting civilians in the action it launched on February 22nd, which it dubs as a special military operation designed to occupy territory, but to demilitarize its neighbor. Francis has already rejected the terminology calling it war. However, the icy winds of war, which only brings death, destruction, and hatred in the wake, have swept down powerfully upon the lives of many people and affected us all, Francis said. I tell you what, your destruction you did on my people is still affecting us all, even to this very day, Catholic Church. So, anyway, once again, he's saying that, he's pretty much, you know what he's doing? He's giving Russia a rebuke. That's what he's really doing. Francis' voice was strong, but he sat to deliver his speech. For the first time in his 36 trips abroad, a flare up of his pain in his knee had forced him to use a freight lift to board the airplane in Rome and disembark. So I guess he has arthritis in his knees or something. The Pope, who was limping as he walked, okay, so the Pope is in pain there, huh? All right, so he was limping. All right, so he went on and already strongly condemned what he has called an unjustified aggression and denounced the atrocities in the war. But he has only referred to Russia directly in prayers, such as a special global event for peace, and that was on March 25th. Now, in the night of the war that is fallen upon humanity, let us not allow the dream of peace to fade, he said. Uh, He again criticized the industry and expressed distress at the fading enthusiasm for peace that emerged after World War II, saying the clash of interests and ideology had reemerged powerfully, and the sedation of autocracy, a form of imperialism. It amazes me how the Catholic Church seem to be blind to their own history and the things that he's talking about. A lot of it they did, you know probably something he may want to think about before he gives these speeches about atrocities, and you got plenty of them under your belt. I guess, maybe the Pope also believes in CRT, burying your history. Seems to be the thing that they're doing, not only here, but apparently around the world. Everybody talks about everyone else's atrocities except for their own. I guess that's the new thing. They must have passed out the memo globally, y'all. But it's amazing how everybody wants peace. Everybody wants peace. You know, you should have been feeling this way centuries ago. But now that all of this fighting is going on, and it will continue, it's not going to end. And all this talk about, well, Russia don't have any money. The US, you don't have no damn money. Look at all this debt that you're in. Go pull up that debt clock, you know? But y'all seem to find money when you really want to, especially for Ukraine. But for anything else, oh, you're broke, you know? And as he's shelling out all this money over to Ukraine, The American people are struggling to make ends meet and dealing with all of this inflation. But y'all, please tell me what you think about the Pope's message and how he just wants peace and he wants this war to be over. He wants the atrocities to be over. He wants everything to be over. We want everything to be over too, and we want our reparations. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.